welcome to another episode of In My Opinion. My name is John.
My name is Lester.
And yes, welcome to another episode. Tonight, we are back.
We are back once again, and today we are going to be talking about a less serious topic. But before we get into it, once again, do follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/overthinksg.
Yes.
Join our Telegram channel, t.me/overthinksg. And you guys know it, Instagram as well, and IMO.pod. So if you guys haven't, just join us and you get updates from when we're going live. On Twitch, we're having a booming community right now. Right now, there's like 41 viewers here. So come and say hi or chat. We're really nice. We'll answer pretty much every question or every other thing. So thank you so much for being here for Twitch viewers. And we hope to see you soon if you're from YouTube. And with that, John, why don't we get into today's topic?
Let's get cracking.
So today, basically, a lot of shit has been happening in the world. It's been a bit depressing, I'm not gonna lie. So we decided...
Okay, no, but like, you know, on in other non-depressing news, measures are easing up.
Yeah. I mean, there's
That's
always a
in my
silver
book.
lining, I guess. And we decided today that like we have done quite a lot of like more serious topics in the past few weeks. So why not we do a bit more chill episode today? So today we'll be going to r/relationship advice, answering some of the questions, reacting to some of the stories and answering what our opinion is of different scenarios, which is similar to r/am I the asshole, but a bit different. So same but different. John, are you ready?
I am.
So I've queued up a few. One of them is from our Telegram chat. So this is the first one we're going to start off with.
Yeah.
He said, the title is, "My girlfriend watches a YouTuber with concerning content. What should I do?" So
Concerning like what?
correct.
Horror
I'll get into
games.
that. It's more concerning than that. Way more concerning than that. But to be honest, that's a little bit concerning. But okay, anyways, I think this is a very good topic also because like, I've heard some similar stories from like, on the internet as well. So basically, this person, I'm going to summarize the story. If you guys want to read the full story, it'll be the links down below. So basically, the person went to like look at some of the YouTube stuff that the girlfriend watches, and apparently there are like things like how to manipulate a man. Is he a provider man or mediocre man? And the man that gives the woman receives. Should I be concerned about the content she's watching? Is my girlfriend manipulating me? Please help. Which I thought was quite interesting. Which I think is quite interesting. Actually. It's actually not as straightforward as I thought it would be when I first read it.
That sounds like it's difficult to navigate.
It's very difficult to navigate. First of all, how it should be within her privacy to watch whatever the hell she wants, right?
Yeah, it's true.
As long as she doesn't let it bleed
into
real life.
No, but it should also be like within the boundaries that he set with her, right?
Yeah. So is that a red flag to you, John?
Okay. I feel that the problem here is twofold.
Okay.
Firstly, right? I feel that this is a situation where the boundaries are not set properly before the incident happened. Right?
Like why you're looking at my YouTube history?
No. It should be like, what kind of content you watch, I feel uncomfortable.
Okay. But is that something that you will talk to your partner about? Because I haven't talked to my partner about this. Have you talked to your partner?
Yeah, it can be like, for example, we have a casual conversation with my girlfriend about stuff like, do you think that watching porn is cheating, for example?
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Okay. But what about this? This is not porn. It's like grey area.
No, but like, you see, this is where you have to set the boundaries, right, man? Right? You are allowed to say that you feel like something makes you feel uncomfortable. You're definitely allowed, right?
Yeah, of course. So
yeah, and I think that's where it's important, lah.
Okay, so
that's the first issue.
Yeah. Continue.
Right? Not setting that boundary.
Okay.
The second issue is, right, not sort of like being in a open enough communication relationship to explain.
Be able to break this.
Yeah.
Correct. Because the hardest part is that you see this, right, and you like don't know how to break it. And I think that's a hard thing to do as well.
Correct.
Versus like if you're in a more, secure relationship, it'll be something that you can bring up a little bit better.
Correct. If you're in a very secure relationship, right, you can straight up be like, hey, I saw this. Are you manipulating me? You know?
But I think either way it's going to be awkward. Either way it's going to come across as you being a little bit like overstepping your boundary a little bit. And I think that's a little bit tough. Blank though asks, I think the question is to what extent are you okay being manipulated if you are more process or outcome oriented when it comes to relationships? And I can kind of see where he's coming from. To me, what I interpret of this situation is the person can watch whatever the hell they want, but as long as they don't actually like come up with these toxic traits in real life.
Yeah, and also I think this also boils down to another trait, another aspect, which is trust.
Yes, exactly.
You can trust that, for example, your partner can watch. Maybe there's this new Netflix show that comes out that is entirely about someone who is who cheats exclusively on their partner. Right? This show, it can be concerning to some people. Yeah, but it all comes down to trust, because people can watch whatever the heck they want.
But if it's not something that they will do, it's
but
fine.
if it's not something they react to it, then that's fine. You know what I mean?
At least for us, to different people, they probably have different boundaries and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Also. But personally,
and that's why it's important to have this conversation with your partner first, to set the boundary.
Yeah.
And to know your partner enough, because it feels like this situation arises, right? Because they never even communicate about this.
I agree. And I also think that the reason why I found this quite interesting is because I was watching this other YouTube video, and basically one of the stories that was submitted to them was that this girl said that I once wrote a book, says how I will murder my boyfriend, and it was a fiction book, just like a fantasy book-ish. It's like trying to be a lit student and artsy about it. And then for I think their 4th anniversary or something, she gave the book to her boyfriend, and her boyfriend broke up with her. So when I heard it, I was like, that is funny as shit. But I said now I can kind of understand why that, like, to some people is like a red alert, like blaring at everyone else. So I think it's more of a boundaries thing. Like, for some people, they'll be cool with like, oh my god, this is actually quite funny, this is quite artsy, oh cool, don't murder me lah. But like, to some people, it's like, fuck, this person is a psycho. Or it can be either gender, it doesn't need to be a girl or a guy. This person is an actual psycho, and
absolutely.
Either way is bad.
And the thing about it is that, like, I think you brought up a very good point.
Yeah.
About it being either gender.
Yeah.
Because this trust, communication, or whatever boundaries talk, right, has to come from both ways. Firstly, this person didn't didn't set the boundary with the girlfriend about what you can watch. Secondly, because the boundary is not set, the girlfriend proceed without considering his boundaries.
Okay.
These two people are headed on different paths, but both are headed for destruction. Disaster.
Agree. And I mean, whether or not the boundary is fair or not, I don't, like, for example, let's say the guy is like, oh, I'm not comfortable with you watching videos on how to manipulate me. If you're not comfortable, and the girlfriend is like, wait, I don't understand why I'm not doing it to you, or why are you so uncomfortable, then it's just, as what we like to say in IMO, it's just mismatch, or then break up, then get another one that
or you can have a conversation to work around that, because if the girlfriend don't get it, but after hearing, tries to get it and compromises and lets you know that I'm listening to this podcast now, or I'm watching this video now, that could work. You know?
Yeah.
But the issue here is both of them are on different tracks, and instead of confronting or consulting each other, they consult the internet.
And they are like kind of like not addressing the problem exactly, etc. And Daryl also says something, I honestly don't care what my girlfriend watches on YouTube as long as my girlfriend doesn't turn out to become a master manipulator. So I think that goes into the whole point, like, you can watch whatever the hell you want, but as long as you don't become, you don't treat me shittily lah.
Exactly. And this conversation goes both ways. You see, you don't want to be someone who is manipulated, but you also want to be assured that this person is not manipulating you. So this is where the two parts come in. Because you understand that your partner may be vulnerable if they find out that you're watching this. You take a step forward to say that, hey, I'm not watching this because I want to do harm to you.
Yeah. It's like, for example, like,
so it's two ways. Is to prevent harm yourself.
Yeah.
And your partner's duty to reassure you that they won't harm you.
And also, like, let's say, for example, in psychology, we do learn, like, here's ways that you can get people to, like, agree with you or like you, etc. So it's kind of, in a way, manipulating. But, like, you can't blame people for learning this sort of thing because it's their major. You can't blame for, if they're interested in it, they can watch it, they can learn more about it. But as long as they don't do it with ill intent or do it in a way that, like, will make it such that you are uncomfortable in any way, then I don't see what's wrong with it lah. Personally, that's what my personal boundaries are. But different people have different boundaries. They may not be very cool with you watching YouTube videos about how to manipulate people. So really, it's just about, once again, relationships is about a match lah. I think that's a common theme that we keep going back.
It's about compromise and meeting in the middle. Because People can be comfortable with things. People can be comfortable with things, and that's fine.
I agree. Is there anything else, John?
So wait,
about
this one is, am I the asshole or is it relationship advice?
Relationship advice. So what's your advice, John?
Relationship advice, right? Straight up. Talk
Yes.
to your girlfriend firmly but kindly. And say that, not that she's wrong. Say that I saw this. I'm not trying to check out on you. I just happened to see it and it makes me uncomfortable. Can we talk about it?
Yeah.
Bam, bam.
Honestly, if she
Give me my Nobel Peace Prize, man.
honestly, if she responds well to that, it's also a good sign for the relationship, because eventually relationship, you're going to face problems, you're going to face conflict. More often than not, you're going to have tough conversations like this, and if they respond well, I see it as a good sign. Like, I think it's not a bad thing that you guys are having this conflict. That's my personal advice. And just set the boundary. Like, the boundary we can't set for you. This is like, it's up to you as well. So there's no like, am I the asshole thing? I don't think it's really for us to say. But if you and your girlfriend can come up to a compromise, that'll be the best. So that's my advice to you guys.
Yeah, I just want to address something that Chad mentioned about how they know whether you're being manipulated, right? There are only two ways, okay, that I've learned through experience to find out whether you are being manipulated. Two ways.
How?
And this is important. You may want to write this down.
Write it down.
First,
Yes.
right? You need to have enough experience. This one difficult.
Yes.
This one is the tougher
That
one.
one tough part.
But the second one is way easier. Okay? Second one is you need to be very certain
of who you
about
are.
what you want.
Okay.
About what you want.
Okay.
Because if you are very certain about what you want, right? And then you're able to compare these two against what their partner is actually doing, right?
Yeah.
And then you put them side by side, immediately you can diagnose whether your partner is living up to what they promised you. Immediately, and that's how you can tell when someone is manipulating you.
Yeah, I think for me, similar.
So
I
you
think
must think, are they nice to me? Do they do this, do this? But are they also this? That's how manipulative people work. Manipulative people work because it's a tug of war, right?
Okay, yeah.
You give some, you pull some, you give some, you pull some, right?
Yeah.
You need to see plainly what these actions are. And the only way to do that is if you're very certain about what you want. Because if you're very certain about what you want, you can even write that down and then you compare these two behaviors side by side and then you realize, shit, I'm being trapped.
I think Blank Doe actually mentioned something. I cannot find a comment now, but like he mentioned something about like along the lines of he said that honestly it doesn't matter whether or not you're being manipulated. It's more of, are you being manipulated to somewhere you're comfortable or you agree with? Because everyone in relationship, you can think of manipulation as getting what you want, right? Everyone will want something out of a relationship, and they'll try to get something out of the relationship as well. Let's say affection or more time with you, etc. So manipulating has a very negative connotation, but if you think the crux of it is just trying to get what they want, and they're trying to service their needs as well, of course that's part of a relationship as well, right? So if whatever they are doing is, like, for example, they like, once in a while they're like, hey, why you like never hang out with me, that kind of thing, you can think of it as manipulating, but you can think of it as they're just expressing their needs. And if it's something that you're comfortable with, that's fine. And I don't think that's a big problem. So I really think it's about, like, first of all, John's mentioned, I think I agree with both points. Have the experience, know what you want. I also say, like, know who you are as a person, so you don't get manipulated out of who you are at the core of everything.
Yeah.
So that's what it's basically influence, says Blank Doe, and I agree. So I think we are slightly off topic for this one, but I do think that there is like maybe it's just these three things I think is enough to kind of protect you from manipulation.
That's what I say already. First things first, have a firm but kind conversation with your girlfriend.
Yes.
Because you have needs too.
I agree. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't we go to the next one, John?
Next one.
So next one is a bit of a doozy, it's a bit of a long one. I'm going to summarize as best as I can.
Okay.
But the title is,
Ready.
I ended my engagement 3 years ago because I found out my ex lied about his age. Which sounds crazy. But basically, he said that like, basically I dated a guy I met in college for close to 5 years. First 2 years were good, and once he graduated, something shifted in his personality. He became controlling, poor eating habits, didn't have good personal hygiene, compulsive liar when it came to his job. So basically, he lied a bunch of things. Like, I'm not going to read everything out, but he lied a bunch. And he said we got engaged after a few years, and about 5 months before our wedding, I found a copy of his birth certificate birth certificate crumpled up in the drawer. He had been lying about his age for 4 years, saying he was 1 year younger than he really was. A year is not a big deal, so I don't understand the need to lie. That means I celebrated the wrong birthday for 4 years along with friends. Finding his certificate was really the final straw for me, and then they kind of just broke it off. What do you think about this?
Nothing. Right course of action, clear-cut story. This is what you call, right?
Yeah.
The negative end of manipulation. The negative type of manipulation. Is gaslighting one, right?
Yeah. Daryl said something is like something like gaslighting. So
yeah,
I do agree. I'm just wondering if, let's say, the reason I put this it is if, let's say, the person didn't have the history of compulsive lying. So this one had a pretext of like he has been lying about a ton of shit already. And like there's like a bit of red flag already. But if you didn't have that, if it was just purely, let's say one day you're dating someone and then you realize the person has been lying about the age by 1 year. And that's the first time they ever told a lie. Are you okay with it?
I'm not okay because there's a lie.
Okay.
But is it a deal breaker? It may not be. You see, relationship end because of two things.
Yeah. Okay.
Deal breakers and last straws. Okay? Relationship ends because of these two things. So you must understand that a partner telling a white lie, for example, right? For example, they say like, they promise you that they will they'll drink less Coke, for example.
Yeah.
Right? They promise you, say, I'll drink less Coke, I'll be more healthy with my diet. And then after that, they go and secretly drink. That kind of lie, right?
Yeah.
Has less potential to become last straw than the kind of age compulsive lie. Facts, right? Because these are different stakes.
Okay. Yeah. I agree.
So what I want to say here is that I feel that the lying issue here has been recurring so much that this small age lie pushed her over the edge.
So it's more of a final straw situation for this case.
Yes, it's a final straw situation because clearly the lying and the severity of the lie is not a deal breaker thing.
Yeah. Okay, but by itself, it is not a deal breaker for you. If someone
it's not a deal breaker for me, but I will feel very nasty, very, very upset about it because the thing about it is that most of the time for relationships, I will establish that we want to have open communication. You don't need to lie. We have no need to lie to each other. So if I don't lie, but you do, then something is wrong here.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, Shoki also said something like, if they lied the first time they meet you, then definitely a red flag as the whole person, in my opinion. So I that's my thought process. Like if you lie about things like bigger things, I guess, even though I will not take it well and I'll still be upset, I will be like, at least be like, okay, maybe I didn't assure you enough. Maybe there are certain things that, like, maybe in a relationship, there's not open communication yet. I can understand why this was a difficult thing to say truthfully. Sure. But with regards to like small things like age, right? If you tell me, if you lie about your age, I think it's such a small thing where like telling the truth won't have much consequence, but you still lie. Then I think it's a super big red flag for me. That's
so you see that then it becomes like a deal breaker, not a red flags are deal breakers.
Yeah. It's a deal breaker. It's a deal breaker for me, personally. But
so you see, so it's not even the lie, it's the concept of the lie.
Correct. Because people lie sometimes. We all lie sometimes here and there.
Yeah.
So I think,
and the concept of this lie is that it's helpful because even it's not a matter about the fact that it's a small lie, but it's because it's a small lie, and even a small thing like this, you cannot tell me the truth. How can I trust you with anything else? And that's the thought process of the deal breaking.
That's my opinion. So I think that's a little bit of a deal breaker, and I can definitely understand why this person like just broke up with their partner, because especially if there's a history of like compulsive lying and everything. I think it just
hers is clearly a last straw situation.
I agree.
Because it can reach the stage where they get engaged.
Yeah, which is
so
crazy.
Who knows what else he has lied about, right?
So
and then
what's
finally
my advice?
The last straw. My advice is you know what, lady, more power to you. Good job on breaking up with this person. And this person, whoever you are, I hope you learn from this lesson that telling lies lead you nowhere good.
I agree. I think that's a short and sweet one. Shall we go on to the next one?
Let's go.
Okay. Okay, this is a very long story. I'm going to summarize. Okay, so I,
Sure.
20 female, found something I shouldn't have in my 23 male boyfriend's Reddit comments. So
Like
basically, yeah. So basically the whole thing is that like, she kind of saw like her boyfriend texting his ex, and there were like some
Okay.
like text like I love you, that kind of thing lah. And then she confronted her boyfriend about it, and her boyfriend said like, oh, she was just going through a bad time, etc., etc. So they kind of, after a while, it's just I guess
She
moved
let it
on.
go.
Let it go. And then she went to the boyfriend's Reddit comments, and then she found that like she posted on, there's a Reddit where, so this is where I quote, there was a Reddit where a guy asked on advice whether to choose his ex or his current girlfriend, and that boyfriend said word for word, been there too, bro. It's about 2 years ago, my first ever love hit me up again, a burst of happiness even in front of my current FWB, lol. So he went on to say a few other stuff. Then he said that like, in the end I chose the newer girl, she never did anything wrong to me, she loved me for what I am, not of what she's heard. That's what separated my ex and my current girl. So the response is in favor of the person who saw the Reddit comment, because he still chose her. But then she's like a bit conflicted in this sense. So he said that like, I'm conflicted with this situation. He's my everything. In the beginning, he did mention a girl that was his supposed friend, and later on told me that they ended the friendship. Hence the part where he said he burst out of happiness in front of his FWB. I think that was what he's referring to. Any advice? So I think I can see why it's a bit conflicting. What do you think, John?
Okay. I know this one is a little bit more complicated. But you see, first question, right?
Yeah.
Why you need to see his
Reddit
Reddit
comments.
comment in private? Right? Next is like you see, this guy, right, was sharing his story of self-discovery, basically, right?
Yeah.
His growth arc. You can think of it as that. Right? Makes sense, right?
Okay. Fair.
So, like, you see, the thing about it is that this person is proceeding to understand something that many people may not, and sharing his experience, right? And if you look at that purely as that, right, then this person has done nothing wrong. This person, in fact, is trying to help a community become better.
Sure. I don't think she's that upset at like that, but I think she's maybe more like conflicted about like, wow, like my boyfriend was going through this while dating me. So even though eventually he came around, should I be upset like retroactively about something that he did?
Right, this is where
Yeah.
I hate to sound preachy about it. They need to talk about it. They need to come together and say, I saw this, I need to talk to you about it. Because
agree.
if they say that they say, I quote, they say that like, oh, they mean the world to each other or whatever, right? Something like that, right?
Oh no, the girl said that like the guy means the world to her. So I think that also, I guess makes it worse because like she doesn't want to confront it.
The world has beautiful things and the world has shitty things. You
have to
need to
confront
be
it.
able to embrace both and confront both.
Yeah.
So when things get shitty and you don't do anything about it, it just festers and becomes smellier. So calm down and bring this topic up to your partner and be like, okay, I read this full story. You don't need to do it immediately. You can always do it a few weeks later, a few months later when you've calmed down already. And then I read this story. I need to talk to you about it because I love you very much.
Okay.
And then hash it out right there and then decide for yourself whether it's something you can accept. Because if it's something that you cannot accept, which means it's a deal breaker, then I'm sorry. No matter how much you love this person, you need to move on.
I agree.
And move on is very simple, right? I always believe that break up already, right? Become different people, you still can get back together one.
Yeah.
But the main thing is that you are not compatible for each other right now, right? No choice. You have to admit that you're not compatible for each other. Break up.
Yeah. I
But
think
this breakup cannot be done hastily. It must be done after hashing out the facts.
Yeah. I think it's also, I guess, at least from the recount of this story, from what I can tell, like the guy was going through this while they are together and stuff like that, which I think is worse. And the guy referred to her as FWB, there's also a bit of a red flag. But I think other than that, like Brianna said something, red flag nonsense. I love you to an ex because she's in a bad place. She can stay in a bad place. Lol.
I saw that too.
That's damn funny. But she thinks that is a red flag. And I kind of agree. Personally, if you had experienced this, I mean, you of course will talk to the person, but what will your default answer be? Unless they
My default answer is break up.
Okay.
No, because you think about it, right? What's the one unacceptable thing that I can think of?
Cheating.
Is that emotional cheating moment.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? That's the one unacceptable point that I can think of. Which means, right, that's the deal breaker for me.
No. Okay.
But all I'm saying is, right, this is where different people may be different. And that's why I'm encouraging this person to still have a conversation with them. Because for all you know on the internet, whoever this lady is, I'm just going to call her Sally. For all you know, it may not be Sally's deal breaker. Just because it's mine doesn't mean it's Sally's.
Yeah, I agree.
So I still encourage Sally to have that conversation, then decide whether it's a deal breaker or not. Because that one is important.
I agree. I mean,
that one is very important. Everybody is different. But still, there's a lot of red flags here.
There is a lot of red flags. There's really a lot. And I think that's something I will talk to about. If it's just purely the liking his ex for a little while while they're together, personally, I've had experience where my ex has liked like other people while in a relationship with me, and she has come clean about it and has tried to fix it and everything. So I personally don't view it as a red flag. Unlike John, I can understand why people think it's a red flag, but I personally don't view it as that much of a red flag as long as they come clean about it and do work hard to change it.
But the act of confession is already a red flag. I hate to refute you on this, but the
it's
act
up
of
to you,
confession
man. I think
is emotional cheating.
To me personally, I feel that there is, of course, it's emotional cheating, but I think if the person is willing to, who understands like the fault of whatever they are doing and try to change, are not too bad because they haven't done anything. They haven't like confessed to the person, haven't acted upon it and stuff like that also. So
then very good.
That's my
you see this even in our podcast here.
Yeah,
we have two very different limits
exactly
on deal breaker, right? You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why my advice is still to go and explore with your partner the facts and the truth, then decide whether it's acceptable. Because if after you find out everything and then you all had your chance to say your piece, you had your chance to apologize or whatever, and you find it unacceptable, break up.
I agree.
But if you find it acceptable, then fucking fix it.
Yeah. I think either way, right, this is a problem. I'm not saying it's not a problem because it's not a red flag. I'm saying that it's still a problem that needs to be fixed. And that there's still a problem that you guys need to talk about. So my personal advice is go and find out the facts, as what John said. Go and find out what exactly happened, what they said, etc. Which
give them a chance to own up to you. Because technically this Redditor, Sally, went to see the Reddit user in private.
Yeah.
He could have posted that story as a growth point in confidence, you know?
Yeah. So I think just like give them a chance to talk about it. And I think personally, if I were in her exact position with all the things, I'm leaning more towards red flag, partially because like,
same.
First of all, the I love you thing is a bit weird. Second of all, the while they're together, then in the Reddit say that like I was considering her over my FWB, that kind of thing. Which also another weird thing because like in your opinion you are the person's like partner, but he considers you as an FWB. So that's another red flag.
Correct.
So there's enough red flags for me to my default answer be break up. But if during the time where we are talking, I think that the person has been like, I guess, repented / has improved / has a good explanation for it, I might be okay with like giving a second chance. But it's a second chance for them to earn. It's not a given.
Exactly. I think that's the key point here because you need to earn it. You have clearly breached my trust a little bit. You need to earn it back.
Yes.
That's where it's key. And that's where whoever this Sally is, okay, you need to value yourself a certain amount as well. And if you don't know who you are well enough, that's when it becomes problematic. But I still believe that if you, this kind of relationship deal breaker situation, right, for me, it's still going to be a breakup, but we will still have a conversation or confrontation before we break up. It won't be a like, I don't think we should be together anymore.
I
You know
agree.
what I
I
mean?
agree. I think you should talk about it either way. I think that's the best. That's the best
Correct.
thing. There will sum it up very well. Talk it out and break up. You
Correct.
cannot accept. And Brianna also
Absolutely.
said something that was another red flag. If a word love can be thrown around so flimsily, that is a major red flag. Lol, isn't that borderline cheating? To be honest, I think
It's not borderline
kinda,
cheating.
I
It
think
is
it's just
straight up
cheating.
emotional cheating.
Yeah, it's not even borderline. I think it just is. So I think it just depends. And I think it's worse that they were together already, and then the guy thinks that they're not together, and then like this whole complicated thing. So I think it's a good thing to just talk it out. If it's not something you can accept, that's fine. Move on.
Break
But
up.
it's something that
Break
you
up
think
not
can be
because
fixed.
break up not because you are being mean. Break up because you respect yourself too much.
Correct. But if it's something that you think can be fixed, and you're not too upset by it after the explanation, then I think it can still be fixed lah. I think that guy has shown that like he has matured past that time, etc., etc.
Alright.
If that's what's more important to you, then I think it's also alright. But know your self-worth as well lah.
Absolutely.
That's my advice.
Absolutely.
I agree. Daryl also says most girls won't be able to accept being treated as FWB if they're in a proper relationship with the guy. Yeah.
Let me
not
just
even-
put it
not
out
even
there.
most girls, most
It's
people.
not girls.
It's most pistol
Yeah.
full stop. Even I wouldn't want that either. So it just depends lah. Do you have time? Do you think you should do one more?
Okay, one more for the win.
One bonus one.
Bonus one.
Okay, so this one is also another very long one. I, 19 male, had a condom break with a one night stand, 19 female, who initially agreed to take a plan B. Then the next day she changed her mind. So basically what happened was they had sex. He was in college, they had sex. The guy was a sensible guy, so he wore a condom. But halfway through the sex, it broke. And he knew that it broke, so he kind of just stopped it. And then he was a bit scared that there was like pre-cum and stuff like that. So he was like, can you please take a plan B pill because I'm more comfortable with it. Then the girl was like, okay, and they continued having sex after he changed the condom. Then the next day, he bought her the plan B pills and asked her to take it. And then the girl said, okay, she'll take it. And eventually, she suddenly changed her mind. And then that's where I'll quote, to which she said something along the lines of, if God intended us to bear kids together, we shouldn't try to change that. This was followed by a statement like, our kids would be so cute, and if we had a kid, what would you like to name them? And he said, I got so upset and told her we are in no position to take this risk, and she said she doesn't care that if she was pregnant, she would just drop out of school to take care of the kid. This is just mad. This is just crazy.
I just want to say, report police.
Wow, that far.
Because it's done without consent. What?
That's true. That's crazy.
Is this not the equivalent of the girl asking you to have sex with condom but then you don't want to wear? Let's flip the script.
That's true.
Wouldn't that be a sexual misdemeanor charge?
It is, right? It is actually a sexual misdemeanor charge, right?
Absolutely.
It's against the law, right?
Absolutely.
It's
Report police.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I think, okay, I wouldn't.
Report police if you're uncomfortable because you think it's too far. Find some kind of authority, an adult authority. You're just 19, right? You're college, right? Tell your college counselor, tell your parents, tell their parents.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
At this point, you must understand that there's an infraction being done. Put aside your pride and protect yourself.
I agree. I personally feel that this is if it's not a red flag for everyone, I really think you should reconsider this. This is a huge red flag. It's the biggest red flag as it gets. I don't know how much bigger it can get, to be honest. So I think it's a super big red flag. And I think it really needs to be solved.
So the moment this person says, like, let's say it's in my shoes, and then this person tells me, says, "Oh, baby was so cute, I don't care if you drop out." It's like, I will politely tell her and say, I will be telling your parents about this because I do not consent to that.
Wow, I think...
And I would gladly be shamed for having that conversation, but I will tell every single person. And I will always phrase it as you didn't give me consent.
Okay.
Or rather, you didn't,
Yeah. I wouldn't tell
I
every
didn't
single
give
person.
you consent. I will tell every single person because you know my strategy.
I know your strategy, but I think this is a tough thing. I personally would be very panicky, first of all. I'll probably panic more than anything. And second of all, I'll probably have a very good chat with her and first of all, I'll cut ties with her already. Especially if she doesn't hear me out. Let's say she says these are things and then I come in and say, I think you're being rash about this. I think this is crazy. Hear me out. Here's why I think this, it doesn't work this way. And I think I'm very uncomfortable with this, etc., etc. And she still doesn't respect that. I'll just straight up cut ties. That's the first most important thing. Cut ties and then just pray. I don't know what else I would do.
No, you must understand. You see, every bit of this story, right, is a proactive effort by the guy to prevent any sexual, or rather any pregnancy, basically. Mm-hmm. Or any STDs. Makes sense, right?
Oh yeah, even STDs, yeah, that's true.
It's a bit of both. Yeah. So they both consented to it. And you see, the fact is he has evidence that she consented to doing these things. Following a certain contract.
Okay. Yeah.
And she breaks that contract.
I think
report police. Report authorities. It's a matter of consent here. If I want to be vicious about it, if it really happens in Singapore, I'll even get the women's rights involved. I'll get Aware.
Yeah, if this happens in Singapore.
And then we'll have a lengthy conversation about consent. And then be like, how come it doesn't apply to the men?
I'm sure that it does lah. Let's not.
And then I'll call all the YouTubers, podcasters, everyone. Let's have a story about it.
That's very. That's your trying to get a story out.
That is how I protect myself, because I need to pressure someone into doing something that they unwillingly do.
Yeah. Okay. I personally wouldn't. Okay. I personally know myself. I probably wouldn't report to the police. Even though I probably should, and I probably should talk about it, but I wouldn't.
You remember we had that episode about sexual assault.
Yeah. I think it applies to men as well, and I'm sure, like say, Aware and everything like that, and all the other institutions that have been promoting women's rights and trying to raise awareness of sexual assault against women. They also understand that men can get sexually assaulted as well, and this is a very clear example. So I'm sure that they will support this cause, but
yeah, and I'm pretty sure even if there's no sexual law governing this kind of behavior, there is still a law that governs this kind of behavior. It can happen in the workplace.
Yeah,
I say I transfer you money to purchase this material. Then you say no need. If anything, boss not happy, I cover for you. Or if boss not happy, I would just say it's my project.
No, hell no. Get the hell
away. It's a civil lawsuit. Lawsuit.
Yeah, and I think personally my immediate thought is to try to solve it amicably. Try to talk to the person and try to hope that maybe the person is just very infatuated and she'll come down from it soon. Soon, as in within the next 24 hours, because if not, Plan B pill doesn't work. If not, she's going to go down. And I want to have a very, very good talk with the person and manage expectations and try to change her mind.
And after your very good talk, if they still refuse?
Wow, tough. I honestly think, honestly speaking, you tell me right now, report police, I would say I think it's a very good option and I think you should. But personally, knowing me, I probably won't do it. Knowing me. And knowing most people, they probably won't do it either because it's a very tough thing to do. I think what I would end up doing is I'll probably tell her friends or tell her parents and ask them to help to convince her.
You should straight away tell her parents.
Really? Straight away. I'll rather talk to her straight away. I'll rather talk to her first. And if she agrees,
you tell her, of course. After you tell her, and then she still refuses to listen, and then you can say a few times, and she still refuses to listen. Straight away, I will tell their parents.
Yeah. Okay, that one I probably will do. I'll tell the parents. I'll tell the friends, and I'm like, hey, help me with this shit, and then they'll be like, okay, hey, you need to think about this properly, etc., etc.
I won't even just say help me with this shit. I'll just be like, Like, look, these are the facts.
Do
And
what you will.
I didn't consent to this.
I'll ask them to help lah. Okay. I'll ask them to help, and I'll ask them to like, hey, she might be in a state now that is like not the most stable. Like, can you like help me to like convince her because maybe she's like very infatuated, etc. So that's what I would do. Only the last resort is report police. Even though I know that is ultimately the best advice, and that's the advice I will probably give to most people. But personally, how I will handle it is these 3 stages lah. And hopefully by one of the first stage is okay already. Hopefully by second stage is okay already. I don't want to get to the third stage.
Authorities, man. It's out of my hands, right?
So do you have the
away.
same stages for you, John?
No.
You
Of
just go
course, we
straight.
had that conversation. No, because you see, based on the story, we already have that conversation. Yeah. And after that, I'm just gonna be like, you know what? I'm bringing this up to higher ups. Who are the higher ups? Your parents, school administration. If I can't get in touch with your parents, I'll get school administration to get in touch with them. Clearly, they are college students, so college will have next of kin contact. You know? Yeah.
I think this is tough. I feel very sorry for the guy. There is...
Don't get feel sorry, man. Get even.
I can understand why the guy doesn't want to do anything, because I mean at the end of the day, as much as I always say this to John, as much as he keeps saying that he'll try to get even, I don't think when he comes down to it that he will do it. But I think it's just because when you're in that state of mind, I don't think he'll do it. Personally, that's why I will be willing to bet on this. But fine. I think that's most humans lah. They'll generally want to give people the benefit of the doubt and give them like a chance to I guess change their minds and be better. So that's my personal advice. Do it in like stages. You don't want to reach the third tier, but if you have to, if you're really uncomfortable, then go and do it. That's my advice.
Emergency services always 3 number only, very easy call one.
Yep. Any other advice, John?
No.
And
second, okay, I do have one piece of advice based on all these things that you are hearing from people, right?
Yeah.
Please get to know people better before getting together with them.
I mean, this is a one night stand technically. I think some people also brought just before we end, some people brought up some points like Denzel said, isn't it the girl's choice? Then it could be the girl's choice. There also says Plan B pills
correct,
are not
but
without side effects.
We have to preface because they just joined us after a while. We have to preface it is the girl's choice, but prior to the deed, they agreed
to take a Plan B pill.
To it. So they agreed that, oh no, condom break, I'm going to buy you a Plan B pill and you're going to use it. And then the person said, yes, I will.
And also, after that, the person also said things like, if God intended us to make a child, we should have the child. Who are we to deny that? Yeah. Why will we name our child? That kind of thing. So it's not even so much of I have the child, then I'll take responsibility. You want to take whatever. Like, you want to be the dad, I don't give a shit. I'll just want this child. It's also involving the guy, which also is another huge red flag.
Which requires his consent, you see?
Yeah. If the girl wants the child without, it's like, tell the guy like, honestly, I don't give a shit if I never meet you ever again. I just want this child. That one is a little bit more grey. Do you think, John? I think that one's a little bit more grey. I still think it's a bit messed up. Let's say,
you say the scenario again?
Exact same scenario, but the girl never say, what should we name our child? He say, I know we're just after babies. I don't want to meet you ever again, but I just want this child.
That's still messed up.
It's still messed up.
That is but the problem is, right, that is even more out of my hands, and I will definitely find an adult to talk about this because I don't know if this girl is because I don't know whether this lady is knowing what she's getting herself into. What if 3 years down the road she suddenly turn back and can't find me?
That's true. That's true. I never thought about that. That's true. And I think, okay, I first thought that it's more grey because I was thinking that like, if she's taking responsibility for it, then it's her body, her choice. She can do whatever she wants.
She can say that 10 years later she can't find you. How?
Yeah, that's another possible thing. I think it's very tough. I think the scenario is tougher than this one actually. I feel like
if she says that, I want to raise whatever without you, it's my body, my choice, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Please write that down and sign it, and then we'll take a photo with you, and then we'll call it quits after that.
That's a good solution, I guess. So I think that would be a tougher tougher thing to do. And
Yeah, no, because I'm always, the thing about it is that I don't want to hate on men or hate on women or whatever, but people in general need to know how to protect themselves. The world is not as romantic as you think it is.
I
And
agree.
the only way to win in in a world that is naive like this is to be certain and to be clear about how the world works.
Yeah. And
You know?
Mel Z also asked, what if you have kids in the future also? How are you going to explain it to your family? Yeah, I think it's a whole other thing.
Exactly.
I think some
What
people
if you
will
already
be
move
okay
on
with
to
it.
your next stage? Can you imagine if you move on to the next stage in life?
Yeah.
15 years later. 15 years is not long, But
Yeah.
15 years is long enough. Then they come back and find you,
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. Okay, I honestly think that some people will not be too mad about it. I think they will be still okay. But and that's to each his own. I think if you are comfortable with it, that's fine. But I personally
Exactly.
would want, first of all, if the girl really, really wants to keep the baby, then sure, her body, her choice. But I'll be like, hey, because I told you to take a Plan B pill, and we both agreed to it,
Yeah.
and I actually did the maximum that I could. I even wear a condom after that. If you still have a baby after this, your body, your choice. I agree. So you should decide eventually. But I'm out of this, and you have to know that. And I think that's the way I'll go about it, lah. It's still I think it's very iffy because, as people has mentioned, at the end of the day, it's still the girl's choice. And that's true. But if the girl involves the guy, I think that's where shit goes down.
And that's where you have to be very careful here.
Yeah.
Just because she told you this, you don't want it to become a he say, she say situation. Get it down in black and white and in unforgettable memory, which is what in either video recording wise or voice message wise, sign contract, if need be, do that. So that in the event, people are flimsy one.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are flimsy one. If they change your mind and then suddenly they come and play you out and then you just like, hey, what am I supposed to do next? You don't want to be caught in that situation. Have it in writing.
Even
if you cannot think of...
Yeah. Even Blando said, like, I think it's damn lame to try and cut ties though. It's your kid, like, your blood, you'll turn your back, man. I agree. I can say all these things because I'm not in this situation. And thankful fuckingly, I won't be. So I can sit here and be a third person and say all these very rational things, but I'm very sure when I'm down in it, right, I'll be really, 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 really scared. And I don't know what to do lah. So, man, this is tough. This is really, really tough. And I have no idea. But at least for now, from what I can think of, I try to put myself in his shoes. This is what I would do lah. I would be still okay if she doesn't involve me, at least from what I can tell. But you have to promise. Actually, wow, even now that I think about it, I might not be very okay with that. I don't know.
Very okay with what?
Okay, I know this is a bit of, I know we're going very long and this is a very long topic, but let's say, for example, we accidentally, let's say the condom broke while having sex and we both didn't notice and then the girl got pregnant and then the guy say, I want you to take an abortion, but the girl don't want to have an abortion. Then how?
Then we need to escalate this.
To authorities. Authorities got any say about this, man?
No, escalate to either a more mature adult, I guess, or a more larger community leader.
Then, wow. That one tough, eh? Because I can understand from the girl's perspective, they want to keep it because it's their body.
You want to keep it, it's fine, but find a way to keep it so that it's never in my life.
But then the girl will be like, but you knocked me up. You are a part of this as well.
Okay. And that's why, after that,
yeah,
when we want to have an abortion, you were the one that said no.
Wow, but I can see why the girl will be a bit upset also, to be honest. Honestly, I can see why.
Of course.
It's honestly, it's damn tough, eh. I can honestly see on both sides why this is damn fucked up.
Then, you know what? Clear it up in the air first. What are we going to do? We're in this together. We're going to have sex. What's going to happen if anyone of us get pregnant? I agree, you agree. Abortion. Okay. From then on, we move forward with this premise. And if we move forward with this premise, and then suddenly you come and flip here,
Flip-flop.
flip there, then I will argue with you lah. Right?
Wow.
We say earlier already.
Yeah, this
No,
tough.
but
This
it's earlier.
tough.
But you say earlier already.
I feel like we should get a female perspective on this for another IMO episode.
We definitely should. I know I'm very. I'm sounding really heavy-handed with my approach,
Yeah.
but I am always someone who does not like my choice taken away. Think about it. Think about it.
Yeah.
When you make a claim like this and you say something like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are. I mean, it's true that we have to be protective of the lady who may be carrying a baby or whatever, but you must understand that you are also depriving me of my choice.
I agree.
Right?
I
Think
agree.
about it.
I agree. I agree.
How can
I
you
agree.
deprive me of my choice? If everyone deserves a fair day, your decision like that impacts me negatively.
But here's the
So
thing.
clearly, there's only one compromise. You want to keep the kid, you keep. I am out.
That's a tough compromise too. And
That's a tough compromise. It's true.
it's
So
tough.
very clearly, in fact, I would say, if for whoever is watching, whenever you are meeting a new partner, have this conversation first.
I think that's true. I
First
really do
step.
agree.
Pregnant or whatever, abort. Second step, you want to keep, you can keep, but I am out. Think about it. You force me to be a kid's father.
Yeah.
Am I going to be a good father?
Probably not.
No.
Especially if against
Right.
your will. Yeah.
And then what will happen is that you may potentially ruin a child's life.
But you can also see why there'll be girls who like, I've been together with my boyfriend for let's say 2 or 3 years.
You
We had
know
sex
why
and
I
we
can
had sex.
see that?
Why?
You know why I can see that?
Why?
Because these are people who are overly romantic. This is romanticism taken to the extreme. What is more important here? This whole fairy tale story you have in your head or this child's life?
That's true. That's true. But also,
When you think about it in the grand scheme of everyone's life of
Yeah,
maybe 80, 90 years, your flimsy feelings of romance matters nothing against
also wait, John, I want to
this
stop you
child's
here.
life.
I also think
Yeah.
that abortion comes with a lot of like health issues for some women, come with a lot of emotional issues that women have to
Yeah.
come deal with almost by themselves sometimes. So I can see why that they might be like, fuck, I don't want to do this, man. But at the same time, I also don't want a fucking kid. This is a
Yeah.
fucking shitty situation. And this is
Yeah.
why this is damn tough. And this is why we need another IMO episode. And I think we need another like women's perspective on this because I can see why
We should.
I can see
this is
why,
why-
it's beyond like just romanticism.
And this is why you see, Alistair, this is why I say at the start, right?
Yeah.
My first option is to escalate this to higher authority because clearly we don't have the answer,
I agree.
right? You get where I'm going with this. So we need to consult things legally, we need to consult things morally, we need to find a resolution because clearly I don't have the answer. I have only this conclusion. You must understand. I do not know enough.
I
Right?
agree.
And
I
if
agree.
I'm put in that situation, this is my reaction. My reaction first is to escalate and find someone who does.
Yeah. And find a counselor.
There are no two ways about it.
Yeah, find a counselor.
Who knows?
'cause-
Maybe after speaking to all these, right, we may find an unorthodox solution that fits both of our agenda. I've heard stories from Brianna who mentioned about how some people who teenage pregnancy, then after that they grow up separate families, but they co-parent.
there
That's
might be.
a possibility that they could compromise on, but it's not possible if they just did it themselves.
Yeah, I agree. I think the tough part is that I can see both sides why they will be very upset at this. And both sides have very valid points. And that's why, as in like, at the end of the day, this is what makes the human condition shitty at the same time beautiful, is that like it's just we don't know the answers and we have no idea what the right answer is. So you kind of have to find your right answer.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
that's my personal opinion. And like for example, John's answer will be very different. Like John's answer will be just have an abortion. That's it. But for me, I would obviously want abortion, but also Like the girl come and tell me like,
Yeah.
I'm very scared
It's
about the
very-
emotional side of things. I'll be like,
Correct.
fuck, that's kind of true.
No, and now we can have this kind of conversation because clearly we're not put in that situation. But when we
Yeah.
put into that situation, things will be very different. I'm
Even
just going
worse,
to put it out
yeah.
there that now we're able to talk about it because we have this privilege of not being in a particular situation. So we can only offer our instinctive perspective. You know, it's very different. I feel that every single person who encounters this, right, the most important thing is that they must not face it alone. They
Yeah.
must find someone to help them get through it. And this someone cannot just be any Tom, Dick, and Harry. It has to be someone with a higher authority, a higher understanding, and a professional, preferably.
Yeah, if you can get like a counselor, get like
Yeah.
family services, all this
Very,
stuff.
very important because remember, the reason why this is so important because what's at stake here is not the two adults.
Yeah, I agree.
What's at stake here is not the two adults. Very important.
Just to round up, Brianna says, so you'd rather rob the kid of a healthy upbringing because the guy doesn't have the ability to prevent parent and put everyone at disadvantage. Yeah. See, that's another whole other side of it.
You see, that's another side of the argument, right?
Another side of the argument.
Which is very valid also.
Yeah.
But you know, someone brought up earlier about how you shouldn't threaten people with your inability to parent. That's also another side of the argument. So clearly, these two partners are way over their head in this discussion. They can't do it themselves, right? You must escalate this to an authority that can provide a compromise that meets both their agenda. Very simple.
And also the problem is that like there's so many different ideologies of how a family should be, so many different ideologies of how family parent life planning should be like. Even from that one Reddit example, you can really tell that one person is a lot more cavalier, another person is a lot more serious and a lot more like, oh my god, shit's about to go down. So there are different ideologies and it's very hard for us to come in and say that one ideology is wrong, one ideology is right. It's just whatever works for you, and as long as you're not harming people, go ahead. But that's the tough part because you sometimes can inadvertently harm people as well. So that all these things can be, I guess, need to be talked about with someone else, preferably
Absolutely.
a professional, and this is tough. And I think even within the chat right now, I'm reading a lot of people have different opinions. So just from this little microcosm of society that we have, you can tell that already there's like a lot of different people with different opinions, and therefore we need another IMO episode about this. So let us know in the comments below if you guys want us to delve deeper into this topic with another female perspective. Because honestly, when I read this, I just thought it was a crazy story that I wanted to hear people's opinions about. But now that I've talked about it a bit more, it's like, oh my god, there's so much
It's
more
more
in
complex.
this.
You know, it's so complex, the fact that someone can make a proper career out of this, which is important, you see? And this is why it's so important.
Yeah, I agree. So it's tough. It's tough. And therefore, I think we should leave this to another IMO episode. Leave in the comments if you still want it. And
honestly, you know what? Having thought about this,
yeah,
you know what I feel we should do? We should try to get someone who is from family
planning.
Family services.
Hey, yeah. We should. How should we do it? Okay, we'll figure it out after this whole podcast. And with that, I know the last one always ends up being a bit of a serious topic. If you go on our Reddit episode, always the last one will like somehow like make it very serious. But I think it's still a very interesting thought experiment for everyone to think about. And I think it's interesting to think about. And if anything, if you are in a relationship, these are good things to talk to your partner about.
Absolutely.
And even before this happens, these are things that you should be talking about, and you guys should come together and say like, okay, I agree with this. And if there's a fundamental disagreement, that's when you should take it as like a, oh no, is this big enough for us to break up?
Yes.
Or what's the compromise, etc. So if anything, this just the advice to not this guy but to everyone else is go and talk to your partners about it. Yes.
Have a conversation with your partner so that like y'all can, even if y'all may not be in moral agreement with what to do, y'all at least have strategies on how to approach. Because when you do encounter things when shit hits the fan, basically, you don't want to be falling back on your emotions and your how kind of reaction.
I agree.
And
with
always,
that,
always, no, before we end, I have to say this. And always, anyone, okay, who is experiencing any of these kind of relationship problems where it comes to pregnancies and all that kind of thing, please consult a professional and call the respective helplines.
Yeah.
They are there to help you. Don't just listen to two assholes on the internet ramble about their opinion. We have a lot of opinions. We may not always be right. And
And we
don't
are
just
not
listen to your
always
friends as
qualified.
well.
Yeah.
Yes, and don't just listen to your friends as well. Please contact the authorities.
I agree. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching today's episode of In My Opinion. It dragged on a little bit longer than I thought it would. But I thought it was quite an interesting discussion nonetheless, John. And with that, thank you so much. Stay safe. Don't get COVID. See you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye!